Welcome into NYJ today. It's great to see everybody out there in the comments already. We are so hyped. What a draft. What a draft the Jets put together. What a weekend it was.
Go Jets. Go Jody.
I feel like we'll get into all of this, but I just want to start out by saying, and I'll just put it out there, I thought the Jets absolutely crushed the draft. I just thought it was an outstanding draft. Any quick thoughts by you, just real quick before we get started?
They killed it. They killed it, bro.
Yeah, and again, the people are already filling it up with the chat, just talking about what an awesome draft it was. Zach Wilson's season. Listen, if you weren't impressed by Zach Wilson, and again, I know it doesn't really mean a lot because Sam Darnold came in and he was impressive, in his interviews coming out, getting drafted by the Jets. But I would say even more so, not recency bias, I would say even more so, Zach Wilson composed himself so damn well. At the moment they announced him being the Jets quarterback, I feel like he just nailed all the interviews, how he reacted in interviews, just like right after being drafted. I just thought he composed himself just like a professional would. So what did you think about that? Did you watch all of his interviews like I did?
I've been glued to the New York Jets YouTube, and I've been watching him at the facilities. I've been watching the behind the scenes in the war room and the conversations that Joe D, Robert Saleh had. I watched the Woody Johnson. That was the one me and you were just talking about before we went live. And of course his interviews with the press. And I would actually, my favorite thing was when they interviewed him on the stage, where he was just like, I can't quote him, but something to the effect of, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, and I'm excited to take this team to a Super Bowl. Something along those lines. All I heard was Super Bowl, and I saw his pretty face, and I said, what better thing to say? That's all he had to say to me. That's all he had to say.
Exactly. Just again, before we get real quick into it, the other thing that really stood out to me was just the fact you could hear the relief in Joe Douglas's voice. And again, I think it's been all over, social media. It was all over YouTube as well. He talked about, when Joe Douglas called him, you could just sense a relief in Joe Douglas's voice, being able to finally commit to him and tell him, like, hey, you're my guy. And he just said, like, how you doing, man? And Joe Douglas is like, I'm good, man. I'm good.
I just actually watched that video, like in a row. And he's like, something like, he was like, when'd you start playing this game?
Yeah.
7 years old. He's like, just remember, it's the same game.
Yep.
We're gonna do this together or something like that. And Robert got on. And he said, all gas from here, baby. All gas from here.
Yeah, that's the thing. And unanimously, Jets fans loved those behind-the-scenes phone calls. Like, that got me really, really fired up just seeing those. And again, I didn't see any of it during the draft. It was all after the draft.
Right.
And it was like one of those things, you were hyped during the draft, and then once the draft was over, you were hyped back up right again. So
yeah, they should have showed it during the draft. That would have been insane. I think I would have lost my mind.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. All right, so just a couple of quick comments, and then we have actually 3 voicemails that we're going to start the show with. We will do live call-ins. I already see some people talking about how they're going to be – oh, we've already got a call-in, actually. So,
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're going to take a live call from Jets Wire Official because I save your damn usernames now. Jets Wire Official, what's going on, dude?
What's up, guys? How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic. It's been a while. How are you doing, man?
I know I'm good, dude. I've just been busy with all the things. That's why I haven't been calling in. But I'm excited, man. Last week was one week to remember.
Oh my God, yeah. Tell me real quickly what you thought about the draft and just like anything that really stuck out to you as far as like something that really gets you really fired up.
I think the number one thing that gets me all fired up is Zach Wilson, man. You just see how he talked on stage, man. How hyped he got with the fans and all that, man. It's just exciting, dude. I'm just so excited for him. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like we have to back this guy now. Like he's our dude moving forward. We have to back him as a fan base.
We gotta pray that he's gonna be our quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree completely. I'm hoping that they continue to build around him. Like this season, or this draft, I should say, they did everything they could, obviously. And I think moving forward, it just needs to be more of the same. Look at what the Chiefs are doing in Kansas City.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know? And I have a quick question for you. Were you shocked when we picked Elijah Moore 34th overall?
No, because I've been talking all. I will give myself a pat on the back for sure because I've been adamant about how the Jets were going to take a receiver. I've been mentioning it numerous times on our streams. I was very, very confident that they were going to go wide receiver early just because.
Yeah, I think that's what we have to do, man. I wasn't really comfortable going wide receiver in like the 4th round, dude. I wanted to pick a wide receiver as early as possible, dude. And Elijah Moore was clearly the best option there.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely. People had him as a 1st-round pick.
I know. I think he should have been a 1st-round pick, and somehow he fell in the 2nd round. I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, it just happens sometimes. That's what we talked about on the channel as well, is how people just fall sometimes for whatever reason it may be. All right, dude, we actually got to get to our voicemails. Thank you so much for calling in, my man.
All right, no problem, man. I'll call you guys next time.
All right, go Jets, dude. All right, thank you, Jets Wire official, for calling in. We really appreciate the phone call. It is always good to connect with you guys. There's a lot of chat, but we are going to go to these voicemails first. You good with that, Mike? All right, we got Craig from North Carolina. He is our first call-in, or first voicemail.
Craig Collins here, calling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And I'm stoked beyond words. What a great draft. What an awesome GM we have. I'm just blown away, the head coach and GM, that they really did what I've been saying all along they should do, is go offense and not worry about defense until late or till next year. And just did an amazing job, I think, giving Zach every opportunity to succeed now. And I am stoked beyond words and cannot wait for the season to start. Go Jets!
If you don't get fired up hearing him get all fired up, I don't know where you're at, because my man Craig was fired up. Craig, thank you for calling in. Thanks for leaving a voicemail. I would love to get voicemails from everybody every week. I would love to have a tough choice to make on what voicemails we play. So if you haven't been calling in, if you haven't been leaving voicemails, consider doing it. It's the same number that you see on the screen right now, and I can take those at any time during the week. It's not a problem. All right. Next voicemail we've got is from Isaac, and he goes on for about 3 minutes actually. So we're gonna let him talk.
Wow. He's got a speech.
He's got a speech, and so does the next person.
Hey, NYJ today. This is Isaac Benjamin calling for my boy John. I'm here in the lovely, lovely city of Tampa, Florida, but originally from Flushing, Queens, New York. Jets, Mets. Let's get it. Let's go. I just wanted to give you guys a call, let you know my thoughts on the draft. I think for probably the first time in a long time, my over 40 years, I'm not telling you how old I am, being a fan of the Jets, following the Jets in the heart, this has been one of the best drafts I've seen. Joe Douglas knocking it out of the park. I love it. I know that he's been sitting there with a lot of, experience, coming from being a recruiter, coming from Philly, putting together that Super Bowl championship team. I'm praying, I'm hoping, I am putting my faith in Joe D to do that for the New York Jets. Let's change the culture. Let's turn it around. Let's stop being a laughing stock of the NFL. My prediction, or not prediction, but my point, let's put it that way, when it came to Wilson, basically I was a Fields guy, but we got Wilson. So, I'm going to put my faith in him. I got nothing for, the best for him. I want him to do really, really good. So I'm going to push that Wilson is going to turn out to be the quarterback that we need. Going back up to get Elijah Vera-Tucker, man, I think that was a good move. Me personally, I probably would have sat. May have been able to fall, but if you really wanted that guy, you really wanted the person, go up, get that pick. You have plenty of draft picks to do it. Did kind of sting and hurt not having a third-round draft pick, and it was kind of a sweat, sweating there for a long time. But to be able to get a talent going back to the 2nd round like Elijah Moore, outstanding. I'm an SEC fan. You guys know that. Bama all the way, but I follow all SEC. I follow all college. And Elijah Moore, man, This guy, I guarantee you, he is going to be top notch. He's going to knock it out of the park. He's going to be a dominant wide receiver, and he's going to do it for the Jets. And then, of course, getting Michael Carter. Not the second. Obviously, that's a pretty good pick. But Michael Carter, running back, UNC. Love it. Love it, man. Out of all the running backs, a lot of them were taken. The top of the pedigree was taken. But I believe Michael Carter, running back from UNC, is a top running back. I think he's going to do wonderful things for the Jets. Jets running back, it's been, that draft, that class right there. It's just the roster. It's all right. But getting Carter, I think it's going to boost it. It's going to push the other guys to compete and do well. All in all, I think the draft, top to bottom, man, I don't like putting grades, but I'm going to put it up there high. I think the Jets, they get an A, man. I think they did a wonderful job. Now let's see how well these guys are going to do. Let's see how well they're going to perform. And let's see how the New York Jets is going to turn around and make people stop looking at them as clowns.
And that's the end of the voicemail. He got cut off.
Awesome. He's
Isaac,
great.
Yeah, Isaac Benjamin.
He's great. He should create a channel. I feel like that guy's got that YouTuber in him.
Yeah, he's actually talked to me about that on Twitter, actually. So, Isaac Benjamin, thank you so much for calling in, dude. Hope to see you tonight. Just real quickly, like he said himself, he's a Fields guy, and he says he's ready to move on. I feel like more people that are supportive of Justin Fields just need to turn the page. We all need to move forward. The draft is ancient history now. We cannot move back in time. And go ahead.
This comment doesn't apply to Fields. This just applies to a lot of the players that dropped. Tevin Jenkins, Fields, Mac Jones. I think it shows that you could say is some of this induced by the hype and media. You could say that, and I think there is a good percentage of that or contribution of that to how the players shake out in draft. But I think a majority of it is what happens behind the scenes with the scouting, with the scout reports, with the interviews, things that, I know the Gruden camp was kind of like a dramatization of what goes on a day-to-day as an NFL scout and what you do to recommend players. But like Tevin Fallen to me really spoke volumes, right? Because around the late first round, mid to late, the linemen started to really go. I think the Jets really kicked off that rotation at that point. You really started to see them roll after the Jets traded up to take Vera-Tucker. Darisaw went just a little bit later than Vera-Tucker, if I remember correctly. Tevin could have easily went in the first round, but he didn't. And now, was that just due to the impacts of players falling, where these quarterbacks, two of the quarterbacks fell further than a lot of people thought they were going to? Yeah, I'm sure. But I think there was more to that story than what we know or what I've read so far. I mean, I haven't really looked into a lot of the conspiracy theories of why some of the players fell where they did. Tevin is the biggest question mark for me because I did not see him going into the second round. I don't think anyone did. I know none of our mocks did. So I'll just say this. I know we're going to get to it in the topic. I love the fact that we traded up and got the guy that we really liked and protected our asset.
Yep.
I'm just going to show my cards now, and chat wants to rip me apart. You can. But I think that before someone who says we could have got Tevin at 34, I would say I think there was more to that story than what we might ever be able to find out. And I'd rather go based on who we feel 100% confident on rather than go based on what's the best deal, which is what probably a lot of people would say.
Yep. All right, cool. The only other thing he mentioned was just Alijah Vera-Tucker. You mentioned it yourself. I was nervous at first. I was worried they gave up too much in the trade up, but I think that the trade up, even though according to the draft chart was that we paid too much, I was actually more concerned that we were going to give away our second round pick. I did not want to give up that 34th overall pick. It was too valuable, and I was nervous that they gave it up. And so when they didn't give that up, I thought, okay, we're good. We're getting an elite guard, probably the best guard prospect in the entire draft, and we have a serious needed guard. So I loved it. All right, we're going to go to our last voicemail, and then there is an ass load of chat to get to. People are blowing it up. Guys, I will be getting to your comments, so just keep filling it up. I'm favoriting everybody's comments. and we will get back to these, no doubt. So last caller is going to be Krista. She is a person that I follow on Twitter, and she gives out a really good insight on what she thinks about what the Jets did during the draft. So here's Krista on the Jets draft.
Hi, this is Krista from Jets Guru. I want to thank you guys for having me on and for letting me talk about the draft. I honestly think we hit it out of the park with the NFL draft. We knew for a good while that Zach Wilson was going to be the quarterback of the New York Jets, and I think he's a very good fit for the LaFleur type offense. It's going to be a very fun offense, and I like that he's very mobile. He has a very good arm. I think he fits the skill set of what the New York Jets offense is trying to do. I think what makes it even more exciting is that Joe Douglas got aggressive during the draft, and it's something we haven't seen in a good while. He used the 2 third-rounders. I know a lot of people said that we overpaid. Personally, I don't think so. After seeing the offensive line and seeing what Sam Darnold had to go through, and we heard Salah say that during the interview that to Zach Wilson that we're going to lift you, and I think a good way to lift the rookie quarterback is by getting some protection up front, and I think he did that by getting Alijah Vera-Tucker moving up. I love the move. I know it's been criticized by some, saying we gave up too much, but when you're the New York Jets and you need to, and our offensive line has been our biggest hole for a good while, you have to do it, and I commend Joe Douglas for doing that. And I think that a guard is so important, especially for the offense that we're running in a West Coast offense. I love Alijah Vera-Tucker. I love the move. I love the aggressiveness. Like I said before, he's going to fit very well with Mekhi Becton, whether they can put Alijah Vera-Tucker next to him or on the other side to help Zach Wilson. And I think that's one of the most important things right now is to protect Zach Wilson, and we need guard help in the most important way. And he's not just a guard either. He could move Alijah Vera-Tucker in multiple positions in the offensive line. And I commend Joe Douglas for not waiting to pick 23, because we all know that Alijah Vera-Tucker was going to be picked way before 23 was, and just love the move. And Day 2, I absolutely loved the Elijah Moore pick. There was like 10 to 15 players at that position that I would have been happy with. I know a lot of people wanted to boost off the offensive line. I did myself. I loved Taven Jenkins. I loved Creed Humphrey. I even talked about the possibility of them possibly drafting Elijah Moore or Pratt Fatimore, the tight end that the Steelers later drafted. But I love Elijah Moore. I know a lot of people wanted to see a cornerback pick there, but to me, I think Elijah Moore is just a better talent for the New York Jets, and we need to think about life after Jamison Crowder. I know you and I talked about that before. That's also important. Like once Crowder.
And again, the phone call got chopped. But again, Krista, thank you so much for leaving the voicemail. She said that last little bit, and I think that's the part that Jets fans were sleeping on. It's not that we had a huge need at receiver for this season. It's we have a future need for it. We are going to lose Crowder after this season. There's no question. I don't think they're going to re-sign him. And Keelan Cole's on a 1-year deal. And so we had a need. I think that was being slept on by a lot of Jets fans. And again, we're addressing a position where our quarterback is going to benefit. He's going to get a year of experience with this kid right now. And then when Crowder's gone, he's just going to slide right into that slot starting wide receiver position. What did you think about the Elijah Moore pick since she just talked about it?
Oh, my God. I think it could be – I almost had it as one of the biggest steals of the draft, I thought.
Most people say that.
I mean, the talent, the high ceiling that he can do, I wasn't even thinking of the fact that they wouldn't pick up Crowder's contract, although in hindsight, I don't know why I didn't think about that. So him moving right into the top rotation would be perfect. And I was watching a lot of his college clips. I mean, I was watching some leading in terms of the mocks that we were doing. But some of the plays, I mean, just pure excitement, man. I mean, what he's going to be able to do.
He's explosive,
and I see him playing. I see him playing in the season. Will he be in the starting? Will he be on the top of the depth chart? Not probably not. Not with Crowder there, but I do see him. I do see LaFleur rotating him into the plays without a doubt, and I think it's gonna be. Yeah, I think it's gonna be exciting. I mean that's the other thing I've been watching the Gang Green board is how excited Jets fans are for the season to start versus where we ended last season. I just think that it's just crazy how quickly things can change, especially when you have a coach and you have a general manager that you believe in. To go from Adam Gase dark era, and I probably even should say the name. It's kind of like Voldemort. But to go from Adam Gase's era to where we are now, I don't know, Jet fans, it should give you a lot of hope. It should give you a lot of hope, that's for sure.
Yeah, dude has 4.3 speed, and I think that's all that needs to be said. We don't have anybody on this offense with 4.3 speed other than him. Maybe Vincent Smith, I think maybe, but he's like our 6th or 7th wide receiver. We don't really want to count on him to be the one that has that electric speed. We now have a legitimate, bona fide receiving core. We don't just have 1 or 2 guys. We have 4 or 5 dudes that could be targeted, and we should be confident in those 5 guys.
Right.
There's no reason to feel bad about Keelan Cole being our 5th wide receiver. That's awesome. Yeah. That's incredible depth, and that's why that was a good move. And at the time, I didn't really love it. But now that I see the full plan unfolded, I love it even. It's just so much better than I could have imagined. So that is true. That is true, Grant Rood. Those guys, I guess I would, in my mind, I think of like just the burst. So like their straight line speed is very, very good. And I think you'll agree with me. Like they're not quite as explosive, and they don't accelerate at the same speed, I would say, in and out of their breaks. So, but you're right though. We do have a lot of speed on offense. Corey Davis, and Mims both lit it up. Whew, getting excited thinking about this offense.
You get those chills?
Yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome. All right, we've got one more call-in, but we're going to try this out. This is going to be a first-time attempt on the channel, so I am going to give one of our loyal listeners, I'm going to add him to our call right now, and we're going to include him.
He should have, like, wrestling entrance music and pyro.
I feel like he should, yeah. I feel like he should.
My arch nemesis.
Yeah. So Grant Rood is on the show right now. I got to fix my scene here. It's all jacked up. Grant Rood, how you doing, man? Can you hear me, buddy? We cannot hear you. Are you there, Grant?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We're good.
Right,
how's it going, dude?
Very good, very good.
All right, light it up. Let's hear what you got to say about this this draft that we just experienced.
All right, I gotta kill YouTube here. There we go. All right, yeah. So, draft thoughts. Happy, not happy.
Yeah.
I wanted Fields, so.
Talk about that just real quick. Like,
talk about how unhappy you are. That'll make me happy.
So I don't know what to say about it. I want to be excited. Obviously, I'm happy we got another quarterback. Darnold was not the guy, clearly. So we needed somebody else. Douglas obviously knows more than I do, so Wilson's probably the right pick.
We have to hope.
Yeah. From what I've seen and everything that everybody's really excited about, I hate the footwork. I hate the chances that he takes, and I hate that he didn't play anybody. I was even watching the I don't even know what it was called, the God knows what it's called, something Raton Bowl, because nobody knows what the fuck it is. Like
the Boca Raton Bowl, yeah.
So like the most unimportant bowl game of the year. That's the game that he played in, and he played UCF, and he didn't even play their top edge rusher or cornerback. They didn't even play that game. So
I hear you. You're upset. It's okay.
So again, like I don't want to be really upset about this because I got to cheer for him for 3 years, and I've been following Chicago now because Fields was my guy. I think he's going to be a superstar. I hope Wilson is going to be a superstar, and that's pretty much where the draft starts and ends. If we got that pick wrong, the draft was an F. If we got it right, it's an A+. So
right.
And we don't know for 3 years, and that's it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Like, it's going to take time to really know what actually transpired, on draft night. We have no clue, and we won't know for at least 2 to 3 years, like you said. But why don't you talk real quickly before I let you go? I want to hear about the AVT pick. Because, here's the thing. We can just pretend there was not a quarterback in the draft. You're right. It could make it an A+. It could make it an F. But what about these other guys? Because I feel like they slammed the Elijah Vera-Tucker pick was awesome. And your guy, Elijah Moore, you've been talking about him all offseason.
Yeah, pumped for him. He's so, he's electrifying. That's the only word for him. It's going to be so exciting. You're going to fall in love with him. He's going to be absolutely awesome. The draft without Wilson, AVT, I don't care what we gave up for him. We got our guard. If he pans out, it doesn't matter what we gave up for him. Seattle gave up what they gave up for Jamal Adams. So, and we used those picks to get him. So who cares what we used to get him? If we got him and he's the right guy, it was a good trade. I don't care.
Yep.
If he's the wrong guy, he doesn't work out, then it was a bad trade. That's plain and simple, right?
That's the life of the NFL too. If you
true.
hit your pick, you hit your pick. If you miss it, you missed it, and you're a bum.
Yeah. So people are kind of ragging on the Jets right now, especially Vikings fans. Vikings fans are, we got Baron Browning and can't remember who the other guy. Wyatt Davis, right?
Yeah.
We got our starting guard. Did you? Careful now, because he's got a major leg injury. He's got a bit of an injury history, right? So hopefully he's good. I want to see everybody succeed, but just be careful. Is he the best guard in that draft? That kind of stuff. So
exactly. Yep.
So
I appreciate.
And then on top of that,
you're good. Go ahead.
There's our first 4 picks are more than likely going to be starters.
Yes.
So we should be happy about that. And then everything else you can call a dart throw, but you're looking at a 4-2-5 defense. A lot of people want to call it a nickel. Fine, call it a nickel. I don't care. But we just drafted a crap ton of D-backs to fill in that rotation. So you're going to see a huge rotation on the D-line, which we never had, which is great. That's how Philly won the Super Bowl against New England, because they had fresh guys in there all the time. And that's how San Francisco makes it through their games with not great D-backs. They have a crap ton of them. They're all really athletic. They're not superstars, but they're good, and they're always fresh. So you're going to see that throughout our whole defense.
Yeah, and versatile too, which I think is going to be one of the things that I try to hit on later on in the stream, is how versatile our defense is going to be moving forward with all that young blood in the secondary, like you said.
Yeah.
Grant Rood, I think this was actually successful. I appreciate you calling in, my man. Appreciate you giving us. Yeah, all dude. Right. Thank you again for calling in.
Thanks for having me on. Awesome to be on with my favorite YouTube content creator and that other guy that likes sneakers.
See you, man.
Appreciate you, dude. Have a good night.
Yeah.
All right. That was Grant Rood. That worked out pretty good, too, I thought. Pretty seamless, right?
Smooth.
Yeah, pretty seamless. All right. If you guys are interested in doing that on the show, hit me up on Twitter. That's how Grant Rood and I set that up. Reach out to me on Twitter. You can reach out to me on Instagram even. And again, just message me on the YouTube channel, guys. I would love to have more people on the show. Like I said, I've made a concerted effort to include you guys. The voicemails, the live call-in is something that maybe we'll start to integrate every week. So like I said, you are a part of the channel. You are a part of the show. So I hope you guys appreciate, and again, I hope you enjoy kind of seeing other fans' perspectives. That's why I like Grant Rood, is because we don't always agree. And I think that's the thing that more fans need to understand is Straight Fire says, I'm so next. That's awesome, dude. That's great. Hit me in the DMs on Twitter. I will be happy to set that up with you. That will be, not to, include a pun, but that will be fire, in fact. So,
dude, I want to see a Grant versus Straight Fire. That's what I want to see.
Oh.
I want to see the wrap off, or I don't know, whatever we would call it, the Thunderdome. I just want to see it.
All right, we are through all of our voicemails, our live call-ins. Again, thank you guys so much for all of that. That was a lot of fun. A good way to start the show, I feel like. I would like every week to start like that. So we're going to get into our first topic, which is, of course, it's the quarterback, and it's Alijah Vera-Tucker. We're going to talk about this now. I just realized I have a ton of chat that I want to go through. Are you cool with me doing that?
Let's do it.
I'm going to let you talk about what they say. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right, cool. C. Wally, he said perfect balance of vets who are all still pretty young, ready to lead, and we have first and second year guys ready to prove themselves. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is I don't know. I mean, obviously we go through an off season every year, but for whatever reason, I feel like going into this season, not only has our depth chart never been brighter in terms of having players that we feel confident not only can provide a fresh set of downs, so to speak, but also are young. The team is young again. I'm trying to remember the last time the team felt this young. I would say, I don't know, maybe going back to 409, maybe, like that was before leading up to like around the time we were drafting Mark Sanchez, maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to think the last time I felt like the team was this kind of energetic. I think there was probably another season or two after that period of time. But for whatever reason, the depth chart has never been brighter to me right now. I love the fact, to your point on Elijah, that we have players who can rotate in for the vets, but also mature and learn from the vets at the same time. And I was watching I can't remember what channel I was watching. I think it was NFL Network, but the big thing they said is we're excited right now. But this is the first step, right? This is the first step in a 3-5 year journey to what could be the greatest generation or era of the Jets that we know of, and that's a very putting the cart before the horse, maybe overly excited comment, but I do agree. Like this is our first step. This was the first move on the chessboard for Joe Douglas and the rest of the front office, and just think about what we do from here, right? So this was an offensive driven draft. We got some fresh talent in there. Next year will more than likely be more heavily defensive weighted, depending on how some of these things shake out and what happens throughout the season. I think things really start to get exciting around that third year mark. It'll be really exciting to see where we're at and how prepared we are for a real run and a real run of dominance.
Yeah.
So
the part you talked about with the depth, I think, is the most important part. We have actual depth. And just if you want to get really excited, Jets fans, go ahead and take a look at our picks in the 2022 draft. Woo! We have a load of premium picks, better than we had this year. 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, multiple mid-round picks, multiple late-round picks. It's a stacked draft next year as well. Straight Fire, he says, why is everyone constantly talking about another lineman? We can't pay all 3. If they all turn out great, we would still lose one. And that's kind of how I felt. We've got left tackle Mekhi Becton. We've got left guard Alijah Vera-Tucker. If we hit on a third offensive lineman, there's no way we'd be able to retain them all. Now, again, that would be a great problem to have. So I would have been okay if they had gone with Tevin Jenkins. But we have George Fant. He's more than competent. He's an average starter on the offensive line. We do not need to have 5 elite offensive linemen. Nobody does in the NFL. It's just not.
What do you think about McGovern?
I like McGovern. He's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. He was solid in Denver. He had a little bit of a down first half of the year last year. I think now he's going to have Alijah Vera-Tucker next to him, and I think that's going to help him, even though he's the vet. I think having somebody solid next to him is going to help him tremendously. Let's see. KSE, who was in our chat for the draft. Welcome back, dude. Good to see you. He says SNY talked about defensive back at 34. Some talked about Tevin Jenkins. Nobody talked about wide receiver at 34 because JD signed 2 wide receivers. I would disagree with that. I actually have been talking about how I wanted Kadarius Toney at 34 because I felt that it was a need. I think not a lot of people were talking about it, but I felt like it was one of those very underrated, under-talked about needs that this team did have. Again, moving forward, not this year, but moving forward in 2022, we didn't have a lot. There wasn't going to be a lot on the team, and we had to ensure that our rookie quarterback had talent on the team moving forward.
And I also think that shows a little bit, we know we have a good idea what we're going to get with LaFleur's play calling. But I think them taking a wide receiver really shows that this is not going to be your same old Jets. This is not going to be. I think the attack and I think the dynamic looks that we give defenses is going to be even more exciting than the Rex Ryan era with Shoddy and the rest of them. I think this could be one of the most dynamic Jet offenses we might have ever seen, at least in my time watching the Jets. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I think it was a good pick.
For sure. Matthias Simon, welcome back to the show. He says Elijah Moore was taken because he was the highest rated player on their board. They never expected that to happen, kind of like Mims last year. And actually, I think they were interested in taking Moore at 23 if they hadn't traded up for Alijah Vera-Tucker. Like, they were interested in him or in the first round if he had been there at 23 and if they hadn't traded up. So I think they were into a wide receiver. We just don't know if they would have taken one had Moore been gone. That's the part that I think would have been interesting, is if he was off the board at 34, what would they have done? So let's see. There's some more chat here. Yeah, Vern was backing Wilson. He says that he cannot decide his schedule. Definitely not something he has any control over for sure. Can't knock him completely for that. Joe Douglas even said those words, that he doesn't really have control over that. And he played some really good teams. He played USC, beat them, played, what was the other team he had beat? I can't remember now. But Joe Douglas spoke about it in his interviews, how he had knocked off some powerful football teams, even though they were facing BYU. Let's see. Yes, C. Wally says that LaFleur's system features a bunch of rollouts to the left, hence the focus on the left tackle and the left guard. Definitely. They are going to be rolling Zach Wilson all over the place, and they do need to have that strong left side. And again, you want him to be protected on his blind side, and that's what that move does. You can't underrate how important it was that they solidified that left side. It really will anchor the offensive line. Straight Fire comes in with a good comment as well. He talks about Cameron Clark, somebody that we've mentioned off and on throughout the offseason. This is a guy they took in the 4th round, guys. Don't sleep on Cameron Clark. He might be a day 1, week 1 starter. He has a year experience in the NFL now. He's been training. He's been learning. He did not play, but I don't see that as a bad thing. I think that's more on Gase that he didn't play. He has a shot to be a starting right guard. And again, imagine our offensive line if you consider that. Left tackle, Mekhi Becton, only in his 2nd year. Alijah Vera-Tucker in his rookie year, top 15 draft pick. Connor McGovern, respected offensive lineman from the Broncos. Cameron Clark, right guard, drafted in 2020. 4th round pick. He would be only in his 2nd year. So we would have a super, super talented and young offensive line if he pans out. So...
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. KSC comments, and we'll move on after this. He says, Grant is on the money. We know Fields will be good. We think Wilson will be good.
We give Grant way too much credit. Okay? Way too much credit. But no, I mean, I get where he's at. I don't know. I feel like that's a glass half full, glass half empty thing. I mean, you could go either way and sound like you're Miss Cleo. So, to me, life's too short to start going into the Marino versus O'Brien and all of that. I feel like for every Marino story, there's a Tom Brady story. So there's my Tom Brady drop for the chat. You're welcome.
There you go.
And we can leave it at that.
Yep. All right. We have now cleared. We are caught up with the chat. Again, keep filling it up, guys. We will get to your comments as we move along here. Real quick. Zach Wilson, Alijah Vera-Tucker. We've already mentioned them a lot tonight. I just think that it was an A+, pick at the quarterback. Again, I know people disagree. Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. We're going to have this continued conversation for years to come, but I think it was a very, very good pick. He fit the scheme. They loved his personality. They love his work ethic. By the way, I didn't realize this. Zach Wilson's a dog. He works his ass off, apparently.
Yeah. Jets' first team since the Dolphins to draft 3 players in a row over the score of 90.
Yep. Yep, that was a stat that popped up on ESPN, I believe, right?
Yes. What that scoring system is, I cannot tell him anymore.
Nope, I don't either. And the Alijah Vera-Tucker trade that we've been talking about tonight, the Jets sent pick 23, pick 66, pick 86, and the Vikings sent us pick 14 for pick 14 and pick 143. And again, you're anchoring your left side of the offensive line for the foreseeable future. We potentially have 2 Pro Bowlers on the left side now in Mekhi Becton and Alijah Vera-Tucker. I don't think that you can underrate how valuable that is to a young team with a young quarterback. You just can't put a dollar amount on that. So we'll move on. We have our next topic, which we'll spend more time on because we talked a lot about Vera-Tucker already and Zach Wilson already. And I do want to make sure that we get to talk about these guys, especially later in the draft. We've heard all of the stuff about the top guys. Mike, any more thoughts on Elijah Moore?
I feel like I'd be re-spitting out what's already been said, but no, I mean, I guess I try to think of what the big kind of counter arguments, or I don't want to say counter arguments, but I mean, there were some people in the chat that I was watching who said that there was other positions perhaps he would have gone after, considering the free agency moves we made. Have you heard of any other counter arguments to an Elijah Moore pick? I mean, all I've been seeing is, to me, a steal at that position. But
Yeah.
if you were going to be the counter, the defense, or whatever, the other side of the fence, what would you say?
The only thing I'll say is that I just felt like I slept on him, and I'll admit that. I'll put my hand up and
Look
I'll
at that humility.
Oh, of course, baby. You know that. So I was enthralled and I was intrigued and I was salivating over the idea of Kadarius Toney, and I never really spent enough time learning more about Elijah Moore. Grant Root he's pumped up for him, and he was the guy that he was pumping up, and I kind of just ignored you, Grant Root. Just kind of dismissed him. Just said, Grant Root, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So I did my homework, obviously. The hands are outstanding. The route running is great. He sticks his foot in the ground and he is gone. He's going the other direction. He's going to play a ton of slot, but apparently the thing that I keep reading is that he's going to be able to play on the outside too, even though he's only 5'9", 178 pounds. And I think that's good versatility because Jamison Crowder doesn't play on the outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm again another, just according to things I've read, another hard worker. I think someone quoted they said, whatever team I go to, I just want them to know they're getting a dog. They're getting a mad dog.
Oh, and I just thought of the other thing we can talk about with Moore. Did you watch the conversation between Moore and the receiver from the Titans, A.J. Brown? Did you see that conversation on draft night?
I haven't seen that. No.
Oh, man. Chat, fill in what you guys thought about that conversation between A.J. Brown and Elijah Moore. So if you haven't seen that video, just YouTube search A.J. Brown talks to Elijah Moore or draft night Elijah Moore. So they were former teammates at Ole Miss. And A.J. Brown was in tears for his teammate Elijah Moore. And he was talking about how much he loved him, how much he respected his game. And he was just talking about how Elijah Moore can do things that he can't.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
That's
awesome.
intense.
It was very intense. It was all over social media, and it was a really, really cool listen. It's about 2 minutes long. So yeah, guys, check that out. If you haven't watched that, it's super cool. Kyle, he is in the UK. He is probably not watching right now. He usually watches after the stream. So that would be my guess. I can't. He was crying like a baby. He was crying like a baby, but he was crying. He was just so happy for his boy, which I thought was super cool. Yeah, KSC says, I thought A.J. Brown was his older brother, seeing him cry so intensely. Yeah, he was choked up beyond words. I mean, he was barely able to spit the words out. It was super cool. I love the emotional part, the emotional aspect that these guys have, because they love the game, but they also love their teammates. So I think it's just awesome. Wally would say, go ahead.
I'm gonna have to look that up. It sounds amazing.
It's a really, really cool thing. And that's the other thing. Elijah Moore doesn't even say anything in the whole video. He's just silent and he's just listening to him. It's really cool. C. Wally with a timely chat. He says, Antonio Brown is only 5'10". Just saying. Moore has got hands. Moore is 1 inch shorter. There's no reason why he can't hit that ceiling of a Antonio Brown, because he has all of those same skills that Antonio Brown has. Hopefully minus the off the field antics for sure. So yeah, I saw that news, Tommy R, that they claimed Matt Cole. I don't know anything about Matt Cole, so you guys have to educate me on that for sure. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, so Vern also puts in a very good timely comment. Vern, you're killing it, dude. Thank you so much. He says, any concern on the Egg Bowl incident that Moore had? Do you know anything about that, Mike?
No. What was going on there?
So he scored a touchdown in a bowl game, and he went into the end zone. After catching that touchdown, he goes over, he drops the football, gets down, lifts a leg like a dog, like he's pissing on the ground. So, why don't you go first? Tell me what you think of something like that.
I feel like that's happened in the NFL.
It has.
I feel like, I don't know if that's the exact move. I remember what was it, Plaxico with the cell phone hitting in there, or was that Ocho Cinco who had the cell phone hitting in the field, the upright pad? I remember. But I feel like I saw that. I've seen that move before. What was the penalty, or what was the punishment for that?
I mean, it was just like a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct. I think it just rubs.
You get psyched out. To me, I don't know. I feel like that's not, if the chatter on that is like, on field or off field antics, I don't know. I feel like you got a guy in college who's amped up. He's all pumped. I mean, the guy's, what was he? He scored 8 touchdowns in 8 games or 7 games, something like that.
So, last year, yeah.
The guy's tearing it up. I don't know. I feel like that just comes from maturity. As he gets older, as he, when you become a professional player, I mean, not to say that these college players don't get incentives, but when you're a professional athlete, at that point, I feel like you're going to see some of that kind of go by the wayside, especially when he's got vets next to him, a mentor, and things like that, good coaching staff. I don't really know what the chatter is. I'm kind of just imagining that it's like, is this the kind of behavior we can expect? I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, no, I'm not either. And you're right. He's a kid still.
Yeah.
He's literally a child. He's 21 years old, something like that. I'm not worried about it either. I think, like you said, coaching, good veteran leadership on the team. Jamison Crowder's there. Corey Davis is there. Robert Sala's there. I have no concerns at all. And we've seen silly shit like this in the NFL, so it's really not that crazy of a thing.
I mean, think of some of the players that were on the San Fran squad, and Robert doesn't put up with that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and C. Wally just came in with a good comment. He says that he did it because that was the DK Metcalf celebration, his former teammate. He was upset with himself, learned from it, and worked his tail off to prove that's not who he is. He didn't even go to social media to defend himself. Very good point. I like that. All right, cool. So Elijah Moore, the only other thing I'll note, something that I get a little bit chubby about when I look at guys in the draft, is I want to see that steady incremental improvement as they go through college. And from his freshman year to his junior year this past year, every single year, every single statistic got better and better. He went from 36 receptions to 67 to 86. He went from 398 yards to 850 yards to 1,193 yards. He went from 2 touchdowns to 6 touchdowns to 8 touchdowns. So you've got to love that steady growth and that steady improvement. It just shows that he's working his ass off. That doesn't just come, naturally to a player. You have to work your butt off to get that. So, Yeah, dude, I did. I said chubby. Yeah, a little bit chubby, a little bit excited. Yeah, Matthias, that's how I feel about Elijah Moore too. Just a baller. And it's going to fit really nicely into this scheme and on this team. So, all right, we're moving on. We're going to go to day 3 now, which I think we'll probably spend most of our time tonight. And again, the chat. Guys, the phone line is open. We took our phone calls earlier. Feel free to call in right now. And just real quick, if you have not hit the like button, would appreciate some likes on this stream. And if you have not, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate any new people that join up. So would appreciate that as well. All right. Wasn't expecting Penny to bring up getting chubby tonight. Everything's on the table. Wicked, you've asked me. He says, random question. Are you or Mike a Star Wars fan? I think you're going to tell me about the Jets shop. They have like a new Star Wars line with the NFL. And yeah, I like Star Wars quite a bit. And they are now.
Hates it. He hates it. You're a Star Trek fan.
No, I'm not. I don't even think I've watched Star Trek. Let's see. So we've got Michael Carter on the screen right now. I love this pick. And I predicted that Joe Douglas wouldn't take a running back. And again, hands up. I was wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's Jason Rhodes? Me and him, baby. Me and him, baby.
Well, no, I didn't say that we shouldn't take a running back. I predicted that Joe Douglas wouldn't take a running back. It didn't mean that's not what I said that I would do personally if I were the Jets.
Don't dance around it. You weren't a fan from the beginning.
I love taking a running back. I wanted them to take a running back in the mid rounds, and I wanted them to go offensive heavy. I literally made a video about it. Don't come at me.
How the turntables turn.
The pick was outstanding. Give me a little bit of juice on Michael Carter. What did you think of the pick?
Awesome. Loved it. Because I didn't
Why?
like the backs we had.
Okay. So there are people out there that do not like the running backs that we have. So what do you like about Carter that maybe our offensive backfield
do you
doesn't
know the
have?
background of the Carter pick? Do you know why it's also significant in Jet history? The first draft where we drafted 4 offensive players in a row since '83. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did hear that one. So yeah, first draft where the Jets spent their first 4 picks on offense, and Straight Fire comes in very good with another chat. 8 yards a carry. That's insane.
Yeah. Not the fastest, not your Chris Johnson, but his explosiveness, especially on his agility. I mean, that's where like, to me, I'm not saying physicality, but like, you know, Adrian Pearson wasn't the fastest running back. Obviously, the bus wasn't the fastest, but they can make moves. They could get those extra yards. They could reach out. You know, and that's what really makes the difference. That's why I feel like we really struggle with our running backs is they don't make moves. You know, as soon as they get touched, they go down. Some of them are pushing the age of 50. They're getting there.
Not anymore.
You know, so I mean, to have someone young, have that energy, whether he starts, whether he's the third back in the rotation, I mean, just to have him back there, I think is to me, it helps me sleep easier. What was he? I think he's about 5'8", so he's a larger back. You know, he can push some of those linebackers away. He can get through some holes. He can make some holes if he has to. I think where I do expect to see him a lot is on third downs. I think he'd be a great third down back. So I love the pick. I was stoked about it. I think it really solidified investing in that offense between franchise quarterback, between protecting that quarterback, between giving that quarterback a tool so he can make fire, and then giving him a running back to give him a little bit of a break. You know, maybe not for the 21 season, but for the 22 season. Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah. So I loved him. I think like kind of what you've already hit on. I think his acceleration and his burst, not necessarily speed. It's kind of like the same thing with Elijah Moore. It's his burst and his quickness to get to top speed. It doesn't take him long to get to that top speed.
Right.
So he just accelerates so fast. He makes quick cuts. It's something that they talked a lot about was that he was a complete back. He's not just a runner. He's not just a receiver. He can also block as well in the passing game. And again, you look at that steady growth. It happened from his sophomore year to his senior year. Every year he was getting better and better. He averaged 7 yards per carry as a sophomore, 5.7 as a junior, and then 8 yards per carry as a senior. And again, 20-plus receptions, actually 21-plus receptions the last 3 seasons. So this is a guy that has almost 100 receptions in college football. I think it's about 70, something like that.
Right.
So very impressive hands, and again, very, very quick and elusive. I love the pick for that reason. He reminds me a lot of a Leon Washington in that regard. He's shorter, but he's very, very bursty and very, very quick on his feet.
I was thinking more like Lamont Jordan when Lamont had that breakout year.
He's not as thick as Lamont, though. Lamont was thick. He was power and speed. I don't know if this guy's.
I mean, what, 5'8", 225?
He's not. He's not 225.
No.
No. Okay. I think he's about 205, something like that.
Okay, my apologies.
No, it's fine, and he fits the scheme perfectly. Vern saying he reminds him of Mostert. He definitely has the burst for sure. C. Wally with a good comment. He says he's fresh, not overworked. He shared the carries with Javonte Williams at UNC. I think that's important. I did talk about that on the channel. I was worried about drafting a guy that had already had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of touches. So definitely in the middle. You know, he didn't have as few touches as Kenneth Gainwell, but he's definitely fresh and he's ready to roll. So Straight Fire is saying, if you're quick, you're going to be very effective in this scheme. I agree with that as well. Tommy R., he says, all the picks this year made sense, both on offense and defense. Last year, the Pirine and the Morgan picks seemed out of place. I'm guessing those were Gase inspired. Would not shock me at all if that were the case. So definitely. KSC comes in with a good question. He says, Carter or Gainwell, or they both were available. Who's better? I personally prefer Carter, but it's not really by a lot. I liked Gainwell a lot too. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that we killed it in regards to taking him over Gainwell. I actually like both of those players a lot. If the Jets had flipped it and they took Gainwell instead, I'd be just as happy because I feel like he brings the same types of things that Carter does. I give Carter the edge, though. He was a little bit more explosive, and he did it longer in college football. So that's where I'm at.
I don't think you go wrong with either of those. I think that's a fit. That's an interview fit judgment call at that point. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
definitely. And Matthias came in and he said he's 5'8", 200 pounds, just flat. So
okay, he's a bit. Well, then he's a little bit more nimble than I thought he would be.
Yeah.
I thought he was moving like that at 225 or around 225. I was like, wow.
No, he's not a power guy. He is an elusive, like you said, he's an elusive, quick-footed, quick burst kind of running back. And again, he's going to be able to do these wide zone runs. He's going to get to the outside really nicely with that burst. And he's elusive as hell. He was one of the highest. He had one of the highest elusivity, rates in college football. He was breaking a lot of tackles with his elusiveness, not necessarily with power. So,
right.
Okay, let's see. So James DiPietro came in. By the way, James, welcome back to the channel, dude. Good to have you. He said that Carter had 308 rushing yards or 308 total yards against Miami. He said that Javonte had around 227 in the same game. Over 500 rushing yards or, total yards between those two players. I did see that they both exploded against Miami, so that's just insane. Matthias definitely, I think he ends it out really nicely, but just reminding us all, he is a scheme fit. He's going to fit this really nicely, and you should feel confident in that because the Jets picked him in the 4th round. That's a good investment for a running back. You didn't spend a 6th round pick on this guy. You spent a mid-round pick on him. So they're counting on him, and I think that it's very possible he becomes the starter by the end of the year.
Robert was stoked about it in the behind-the-scenes footage.
100%. Yes. All right. The next player on the list, and we're not going to have to transition our scene this time. The next player on the list is Jamian Sherwood out of Auburn. Round 5, pick 146. He played safety. He is a lot like a Keanu Neal. He's that kind of that linebacker safety kind of hybrid player, and I believe the Jets are going to have him play linebacker on the team. And kind of like what Grant Rood was saying earlier, we're going to be running this kind of like hybrid defense where it's a 4-3, but really it's a 4-2-5 because of all of these pieces that we have on defense now that are versatile and they can show that they're going to be as a linebacker at the snap, and then they can kind of jump back and play in the secondary. So Jamie Sherwood, just the notes that I have here, he's versatile. He has high level of versatility. He does not have elite speed, but he makes up for it in his instincts, his hitting ability, and high energy play. He's going to be transitioning to that linebacker role, kind of like what Keanu Neal is going to do with the Cowboys. And I mentioned that this is a great example and a great reason why you don't overspend in free agency. The Jets didn't spend the $5 million, $6 million on Keanu Neal in free agency like we all wanted him to. They saved millions of dollars by doing this. This move could potentially save them millions, and they have a rookie now who could potentially play on this team, playing that role for years to come.
And they get contribution on the special teams. I think he'll rotate in there, and then I think they'll play him on the weak side where they're really struggling with their linebacker crew. And can I just put a point on that, because I wanted to say it earlier during one of the calls. And if you obviously there's a counter argument from you. I think one of the areas that I'm most worried about on the team is still our linebackers, to be honest with you. So to have some rotation and this, obviously he'll be picking up the role over the course of the 21 season. So that where he is in 22, obviously night and day where he's in 21. But I do like the fact that they started to invest in that linebacker crew, because that is the one area I'm most worried about, because I don't know how Mosley's going to be. And, we invested a lot in our D-backs, obviously, with the other picks that we'll be talking about. The linebacker crew is still kind of a question mark for me a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good comments, actually, about now that we switched it up to Sherwood. So Grant Rude said Sherwood needs to add weight. He's already a big-time tackler. Grant thinks he's going to transition really nicely to this. Tommy R., Saleh said to Sherwood on the phone, "You don't know how good you're going to be," which is a really strong statement for a 5th-round pick, but I feel like they really like this kid to fill this role.
Yeah.
And so I'm super excited about it. Matthias said that Sherwood is an animal, 100 miles per hour. He's a great tackler. Let's see. C. Wally says that JD talked about how linebackers in college are so hard to evaluate because of the influx of RPOs and such. I trust JD and Saleh to know what they're looking for. And again, we've heard it a million times. JD loves versatility, and I think that Saleh, we're starting to get a sense that he likes versatility as well on defense. The other thing I want to mention with Sherwood is like, we're drafting him in the 5th round, and he's probably not going to be a starter, but that's not a bad thing. He's going to have a role on the defense. He's going to play this season, but just not every down player. And again, not a bad thing. The fact that he's even playing snaps on defense this year would be a huge hit.
Right. I mean, coverage is not going to be an issue with him. That's for sure.
What's that? Say that last part.
I said coverage. Imagine him out there as a linebacker and then breaking out into coverage. Oh my god.
Oh my god, yeah, I love that part of it. Just like the total like craziness that you can create or the chaos that you can create on defense.
Oh, it's insane.
Very, very confusing, I think, for a lot of people, for sure. Okay, Grant Rude says that's awesome. You don't know how good you're going to be. He said, I didn't see that. He said that gets me all horned up. It's kind of like me getting chubby earlier. Yeah, it's exciting, dude. This is, again, we're gonna get into it later in the show. We're gonna talk about our the draft grades. I have very high hopes for this draft class. James DiPietro comes in with a good question. He says, "What do you guys think about the UDFAs that we brought in? Happy we got a kicker. Yeah, Nagar, right? The guy from SMU. We got his kicker, and Kenny Yeboah, the tight end. I really wanted us to draft a tight end. We weren't going to fill every hole. I feel really good that they found somebody that played with Elijah Moore. He made good plays, or he made big plays in college. So I really like the Kenny Yeboah signing in undrafted free agency. I think that's the one that I'm hoping pans out, because if we can get him to be a tight end 2 this year, tight end 3, and even if he just makes the team, that would be huge, because he'd be young. He's talented. He's 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds. He's not a super speedy tight end, but he does have some athleticism to his game. So I really like that. C. Wally says, exactly, Mike. Smart defenses dare teams to run the ball now. And that's kind of what you're going to get. You're going to allow the opponent to, you can say to them, especially teams like Kansas City, go ahead and run at us. We would prefer you to do that anyway. Kyle Reich says, you guys really get turned on by football? We're speaking not literally, sir. We are speaking.
No, stand up. Stand up.
No, I'm not gonna. Yeah. So Tommy R says, yeah, I hope Yeboah will have a Darren Waller role effect on this offense. I don't know if he could possibly have that type of ceiling. I don't think that's what you're saying. But yeah, having somebody versatile at the tight end position that can kind of move around the formation would be awesome. We have Justin Fields in the chat. He says, fuck Zach Wilson. I should have gone number 1. Justin Fields, it's good to see you, man. I loved you leading up all the way through the draft process. Don't be mad, dog. I liked you. I still like you. I'm just thrilled that you're here in the show with us. This is awesome.
I want to introduce you to a guy named Straight Fire. He'll love to talk to you.
All right. The next player on the list is round 5, pick 154, cornerback Michael Carter II from Duke. It is the second Michael Carter that we took in the draft. Any thoughts on Michael Carter?
This was a depth chart move, at least as far as I can see it. Just another potential big return on investment there, especially under the tutelage of the coaching staff and the assistant coaches that Robert brings in. I'm not blown away, in terms of where he is, where Michael Carter II is right now. I think his career stats, obviously, he was team captain. I think he does a lot in terms of his work ethic. I think his speed is what everyone is blown away by. I think he ran a 4.3 or something like that, 4.32. Mm-hmm. And I think here's my thing about Michael Carter. I think if he puts on a little bit of weight, because I think he's pretty small for playing.
Yep.
Right. And did he play? He also rotated into free safety, didn't he? Wasn't he free safety? Yeah. So he's a little bit on the side. If he can put on weight, keep the speed at least plus or minus, and then just overall awareness and maturity. I can't remember what that stat is in Madden, where it's your maturity. I think it's awareness. Isn't that your rating in Madden, where your player just starts doing crazy stuff automatically? But if he can just mature out there, put on a little size, and then really find his place inside that defense, inside that secondary, I think it could be a great pick, especially for the 5th round. Like you've been saying, it's a 5th round pick, and right. It's for a position that we need. We need the depth in the DBs. Mm-hmm. So I'm not blown away by it, but I love the potential that's there.
Yeah. Let's keep in mind, let's be realistic. I think everybody knows not all these dudes are going to pan out. There's a very good chance that they don't all pan out. And actually, it's a guarantee that they won't all pan out. Having said that, though, like you said, good competition for the secondary. He does have versatility. Like he said, he played some safety. Straight Fire, you came in with a good comment. Carter, the DB, can be pretty good in the slot, can play on the outside. I'm not sure about the outside. He's only 5'9.5", 185. I think he projects really good as a slot guy. And I think one of my things that I wanted to talk about with him, they need to shore up, I think, his role. Like, they need to have a very clear role for him moving forward. I don't think that he can continue to play snaps at safety and cornerback, and we hope that it works out. I think he needs to have a very clearly defined role on the defense. And as he gets older, of course, they could potentially move him around a little bit, but right now I think they need to just specify where he's going to be on the field so that he can really hone in on that and really work on his skills. He did have a really good 2020 season, which I think kind of boosted his draft stock. 41 total tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 interceptions, 8 pass breakups. Let's see. The Grant Root
You don't
saying
know where he's going to be? I'll tell you where he's going to be. He's going to be on special teams.
he will be this year for sure. All right, Grant Root said I'm wrong, so I got to read this. He said the Jets made 10 picks this year and got 10 starters. And the undrafted free agents are the best of the best, and it's mind-boggling they didn't get drafted. If you can't tell, he's being sarcastic, everybody. Yes and no. Not all these guys are going to pan out, and we're just kind of hopeful that some of them pan out. That's really the hope, that some of them become backups, some of them become players that have a role on the team, not just a starting role. And obviously you want as many starters as you can. The thing you don't want is you don't want these guys to be gone after a year or two. You want them to play at least through the end of their contract. That's the ultimate goal, is that you get them to at least play a full, the full contract, and then you can re-sign the best ones, retain the ones that really deserve that second contract. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's see here. Carter 2 was one of my favorite picks. He's a future nickel, man. Definitely. Let's see. Developmental player for these coaches turn into a player. Fast, smart player. Thank you for the comment, Matthias. Gitmo Bob with an interesting comment. He says you only really need 1 or 2 of these guys to succeed to greatly improve the secondary, and I think that's worth mentioning. We did take multiple guys.
Is it bad that I was more excited about Jason than I am about Mike Carter?
We're going to talk about him next, and I think a lot of people will probably feel the same way. I read a pretty good tweet today. They talked about all of his stats, about like how he matches up to some of the better cornerbacks in the draft, and he was actually
6'2", 204.
Yep. All right, so let's not waste any more time. Let's just talk about him. Oh wait, one more thing about Michael Carter II.
Yeah, you're done.
Good competition for Javelin Guidry. He's one of the young guys that we had from last year. Very, very fast guy. Good competition for those guys. They're one of those guys. I don't think both of them are going to make the team. So, good competition. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. And straight fire, he comes in. He says, much needed depth. So important. Just keep developing these guys. It's a start. Alrighty. Jason Pinnock, cornerback out of Pitt. Round 5, pick 175. Like Mike was saying, 6 foot, 205 pounds. 54 total tackles, 6 interceptions, 19 pass breakups during his college career. Yeah. So he got his hands on
3 interceptions last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 3 interceptions in 1 year and just last year versus Michael Carter's 4 interceptions in his entire career, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. Now there is some apples and oranges there in tackles and pass deflections and things like that, but I'm just putting that out there.
Sure. And he intercepted the golden boy, your golden boy, Trevor Lawrence. He intercepted him. So I wrote down a few things. I just said that he plays with a ton of confidence. This is not a guy that lacks confidence. He's physical. He's got he's got long arms, not freakish long arms. That's later in the video. We've got another guy with freakish long arms. The only concern that I noted was that he just doesn't really have elite top speed. He would struggle, I think, with somebody like a Tyreek Hill. Many people struggle with him, so it's not really a big deal. But just anybody with elite speed, I think he might have a hard time with. And I think he's a great fit for our zone defense. He kind of reminds me of Bryce Hall. They have similar size. Long arms, 6'2", I think is how tall he is. Is that right?
Who? Jason?
Yeah, Jason.
I can't remember what his arm length is.
I 6'2", I'm saying. I think he's 6'2". Is that right?
I thought he was 6'1", 6 foot even, 6'1".
Yeah. Well, good size regardless. Kind of reminded me of Bryce Hall. Kind of drafted in the same round. Big, long, and again gets his hands on the football, which I think is important as a DB. Can't understate the importance of getting turnovers. So, what do you think about Jason Pinnock?
I just think that the glass ceiling for him is much higher than Michael Carter, at least in terms of what it looks like right now. I was on my phone when the pick came in, and I remember the first thing I went to was just looking at just the social media comments coming in, and there was multiple comments from analysts who were saying that his just intuition and ball skills are much higher. For a late round pick, they does he need to mature? Does he need to work on some of his his physical stats, particularly his speed, if he's going to be put in that position to be on those top receivers? Yes, but his ability to work inside an NFL environment and know the ins and outs of where the ball is and reading the quarterback, or just having that intuition, probably the best way I could say it. They say he has that, versus some players need to work on that and develop that. Some players just come into the game and they have it automatically. He has signs, I guess you could say. I don't want to say he has that, but he has signs that he can fit really well. And he's from Pitt, so Darrelle Revis, baby, all the way.
Gitmo Bob says, please no mentioning Revis. Rick B, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. No worries, dude. Feel free. It goes right to YouTube. James DiPietro, he has like a good he has a good comment here to wrap up the part, like the rest of this this channel. He's just the rest of this show. He says, think about this. We got 11 free agents, 10 in the draft, 12 undrafted free agents. All 33 are not going to get signed. Definitely not. He says we're going to keep the best of the bunch for our new system. For sure.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I was think about being a man with him. Think about getting checked.
Yeah. No, he's definitely physical for sure. Vern says that Pinnock has a YouTube channel apparently, so I'm going to have to check that out. All right, let's keep it moving here. We've got this is my favorite defensive player actually that we drafted in the entire draft for the Jets. Hamza, I think it's Hamza Nasirildeen, Florida State University. This is a safety. He's 6'3", 215 pounds, and this is my freakish arm length guy. His arms are 34.5 inches long. This man has nearly 3 foot long arms. He's 6'3" and he's 215 pounds. This is my favorite defensive player that we drafted.
He's got elephant trunk arms. He could pick up little baby Dumbo and rock him.
This guy is a beast. So I wrote down that he's similar to Jamie Sherwood. He's going to come in. He's going to compete with Sherwood, and they're going to both be trying to get that hybrid linebacker safety job on this defense. And he is a monster. Listen to this 2019 stat line. Are you ready?
Yep.
Over 100 tackles, 2 interceptions, and 3 forced fumbles. The guy is all over the field, and I loved it. So he did have injuries, and C. Wally, he says, I wasn't as high on Hamza till I watched his tape. Fell because of injuries, but had an early round grade leading up to the draft. I love this kid. I think he has a really, really good shot for being a 6th round pick. This is one of my favorite 6th round picks that we've made in a really long time. The ceiling is super high for him. I just said that he's a fantastic tackler. He did have the knee injury that kept him out.
Are you worried about the knee?
Well, it kept him out of some games this year. He missed 7 games in 2020, so he only played a little bit this year, and I think that's what dropped him. But no, I'm not worried about it. As long as they...
Which is the not so significant injury? Is it the MCL or the ACL?
Say that one more time. The what?
He had ACL surgery, and I couldn't remember which tendon tear is less significant or less prone to re-injure. Is it the MCL or the ACL?
I don't think there's any good knee injury.
One doesn't have as high of odds of being torn again than the other. Maybe Chatner.
The ACL is the most common one. That's the one that most players tear. The anterior cruciate ligament. I think that's what it's called. So anyway, yeah, I love that draft pick. I cannot wait. That's going to be my favorite competition to watch in training camp in the preseason. I hope we get some preseason games. I'm going to be putting my eyes on those 2 dudes a lot on defense. Sherwood and Nasirildeen. I can't wait to see those 2 guys play.
Yeah, for sure. I want to see this guy's arms. Imagine He's not going to get stiff arm, dude. He's not going to get stiff arm.
No, and and this is the thing. He's your dream player, Mike. I don't think you realize this yet. He's going to be a linebacker on this defense. He's 6'3", 215 pounds. He's got these long ass arms. So
he's a Madden character.
Yes. I can't wait. I cannot wait to watch him. What do you guys think about Nasirildeen? A bunch of people are coming in the chat right now. All of the doctors are coming out. They're saying the ACL is worse. I'll have to read about that. C. Wally is saying ACL is much worse. Could be wrong, but don't know if the MCL requires immediate surgery. Could be wrong. Straight Fire, he says. Straight Fire says Justin Fields. Huh?
Straight Fire, go get him, man.
Good luck in Chicago. Guys, this is the thing. We can forget about Justin Fields. I have to be honest with you. I was sweating bullets when he was still available, and I thought maybe the Patriots were going to take him. I was not a fan of that idea. That would have been bad.
He wasn't there for the Patriots.
No. I was getting nervous that he would be a Patriot.
Oh, I got you.
No.
I didn't think he'd be good in Chicago. I'll tell you that. I didn't think Chicago would be the team that got him. I'm just reading the comment from Graham.
Yeah. So he said MCL, ACL. One is on the outside. That's the ACL, I believe. For sharp cuts on the side. Other is the inside and affects the strength. The outside one is way worse. For football players, I think it's the ACL. Yes. The Achilles tendon, straight fire, good point. And actually a Liz Frank injury, your foot, I think that's one of the worst injuries you can have as well as a Liz Frank injury in your foot. But yeah, Achilles injury is really bad, and I agree. If you're gonna take any kind of like season-ending injury, I think that honestly the ACL is becoming a routine surgery for doctors at this point. It wasn't always back in the day, but they've advanced so far in medicine since football has began. These knee injuries are not good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not shrugging off a ACL tear, but they have very good recovery from these injuries. So KSC comes in. He says that the Giants should have taken Fields and moved on from Daniel Jones. What do you think about that? I actually think it would.
Banners for that. Wow, that would be insane. That would have been nuts. The Giants should have done that. I didn't even think about that. Imagine that on was it MetLife? Is that MetLife? No, yeah, that's MetLife. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm thinking of MNT, which is Raven Stadium. I was like, no, is it MetLife? But anyway, yeah. Can you imagine the banners at the stadium on that? That would have been nuts.
I think that if Justin Fields turns into a stud, I think that they might hear it more than the Jets. I know the Jets took Zach Wilson, but I think that the Giants might get a lot of grief, especially if Daniel Jones doesn't pan out. I think that's going to cost Gettleman his job.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Danny Dimes. I think that I worry about his turnovers like everybody does. He has a ton of interceptions, and he has even more fumbles. So he's a turnover machine right now. I get a little bit worried about that dude. C. Wally said the rumor is that the Pats were going to take AVT until the Jets jumped them. Apparently they had the guard rated higher than Mac Jones. Don't know how. So he says, I don't know how positional value factors in. Hope Mac doesn't hit or is on us. Yeah, we definitely don't want Mac to hit. All right, we got a phone call here. We're going to take our phone call.
Isaac Benjamin.
It's Isaac.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2. To accept.
What's up, Isaac? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How are you guys living?
We're feeling good, living good. Tell us how you feeling, man. How about this Jets draft?
Oh yeah, I was blown away by it. I'm sure that you got email on it, so yeah, definitely blown away. Hoping that I think we can start everybody's jokes. I tell you, it's getting tiring, even when they use it in highlight reels. I mean, it makes me sick. But I wanted to stop on by here, NYJ today. I know you guys are live. Don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to just go over a couple things.
that has been kind of eating at me here throughout the week since the draft. I hope you don't mind if I talk to you guys about a couple things here.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, the first thing I did want to talk about, and I did drop in on you guys, earlier here. I was listening in to a lot of the things that people were talking about, especially I think it was Grant when he stepped in and he was talking about him being disappointed about Fields. Look, you know better than anybody how much I wanted Fields over Wilson, but I think that it's over. We got Wilson. We got to go forward with Wilson. And I think we just got to hope and pray and put enough backing behind him. I mean, we can rip tape apart on this kid. We can go back and forth about what he does and doesn't have, what skills he does and doesn't have. I mean, we can go back and forth on that all day long. But the simple fact is, we got Wilson. We don't have Fields. The thing that really killed me, I wanted to touch on. I was actually listening to David Pollack one morning. I think it was either on a Get Up or First Take, one of those. I'm not too sure which one it was, but he kept repeating the same thing over and over. And God, it just makes me sick. I am so tired of when you have these analysts, these guys, even if they're former players, talking about teams like, oh, this is where quarterbacks go to die. I mean, I've heard that too many times, even with the New York Jets. I mean, how many times we've heard that same old thing? Obviously, in this particular instance, he's talking about, the Bears when they told Fields, they took Fields and they're saying, oh, the Bears, the Chicago is where quarterbacks go to die. And my only thing is obviously you can't keep having that same mentality. We as Jets fans, even we can't even have that mentality, thinking about, oh, this is a place where quarterbacks go to die. Well, when is it going to change? If you think about it, when is it going to change? If we keep having that mentality, oh, this is where quarterbacks go to die, the way he was talking about the Bears, well, then there's never going to be a change.
I agree.
mean, you might as well pack up, fold the tents, and close the franchise. Okay, well, if this is where quarterbacks go to die, why even have the franchise? Let's just fold the chairs up. Let's go. Let's leave. It's stupid. It is the dumbest phrase I've heard. This is where quarterbacks go to die. You know what? And that right there, when he was talking about Fields, and as well as I do, I would have loved to have Fields. But just speaking about that fueled me to back Wilson even more.
Yeah,
because
dude.
I want someone like Wilson to sit there and go, you know what? That may have been in the past for the New York Jets, but I'm here to change that. It's going to get changed and actually do it. Flip it around.
Yeah.
Let's change the culture. And I'm hoping and praying Wilson can do that. That's one of the things that really was killing me. And people always forget history. I've been watching NFL since I was, a young boy. I grew up watching, a lot of these teams, being a Jets fan. I stuck with the Jets, but I watched all teams. And to say something like the Bears, Fields going to the Bears, it's somewhere they're going to die. What about the 86 Super Bowl? Mike Ditka, with the Bears beat New England in the 86 Super Bowl. What about that? Did their quarterback die then?
Yeah.
did they win the Super Bowl? That's what I'm just, come on, speak to me, John. You know what I'm talking about here, man.
Absolutely, yes. And I think that's the thing that we need to, it's so tiresome to hear what you just said, that the Jets are losers, and they're forever going to be losers. We've seen before in NFL history teams flipping the script. Even about the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers, prior to winning the Super Bowl, in the early 2000s, they were a laughing stock. They never won a Super Bowl, and now they've got 2 Super Bowls, on their resume. Exactly. And I just think it's so ridiculous to think that that the script cannot be flipped.
Exactly, and I'm telling you right now, but I was here for that. You know me, I now reside and have been, here in Tampa, Florida. I was here in 2000 when the Bucs won the Super Bowl. You asked me my opinion, not to go off topic, but Tony Dungy, that's the man that really put that team together. Not take anything away from Gruden, but Tony Dungy, he put that team together. They didn't give him an opportunity, and look what he did. He went to Indianapolis, got his ring over there. So bravo to him. That was one of the things. That's one of the first things I really wanted to touch on, is that quarterback. Let's stop the nonsense. Chad Pennington was a great quarterback for the Jets, but he's injury prone.
Right.
Come on, he was injury prone. Look at Parcells, man, back in the '80s when Parcells took the Jets to an AFC Championship game. I
Right.
mean, they weren't that great before. He had Keyshawn Johnson as one of the wide receivers. I mean, even he has spoken about it on, Keyshawn J. Will and Zubin in the morning. He's spoken about his time about it with the Jets and things of that nature. So, and then you got Rex Ryan came in with Mark Sanchez, obviously back-to-back AFC Championships games. So right there. So it can happen. These things can happen. We need to kind of get away from the nonsense. Just get away from, we should have had, should have, could have, would have. Yeah, it's over. We got Wilson. Let's put our faith behind this boy. And like you said earlier, and I think we've spoken about, he's a film kid. He studies film. So let's hope and pray that his intelligence is film, and he does not do some of the things that he did do in college. Some of those
Oh my God.
taking that were unnecessary. Just diving into the end zone, getting knocked around.
Did you see that tweet? Did you see my tweet about that?
I did see the tweet.
Oh
I
my.
actually saw that prior to your tweet, and it was kind of like a flashback to me. And I was like, oh my God, man, why didn't we get field? But
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, the kid, you got to back him. You got to back him.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I wanted to touch on. The other thing I, was going to mention, in brief, is this, when people talking about going up for Vera-Tucker. I said I probably would have sat at 23, but I always believed if you really want your man, go and get him. Go and get him. And people are like, we paid too much. Well, did we really? If you really analyze, if you really think about it, what did the Jets really give up? Because technically the number 23 pick and one of those third-round picks didn't even belong to us.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for the Jamal Adams trade.
Exactly.
Exactly. If it wasn't for the Jamal Adams trade, we wouldn't have had those picks. Okay? People acting like we automatically had two first-round picks. No. Let's look at it in a different way. What if we didn't have those picks? Then all we would have had was Wilson, and then we would have been on to round 2.
Exactly.
So let's look at what did they really give up? One third-rounder. They swapped first-round picks. They went from 23 to 14. So you're swapping first-rounders. No real loss there, especially when that first-rounder didn't belong to you. We gave away the pick that was given to us, and we just gave up a third. So you telling me we, in actuality, gave up a third-round pick for Vera-Tucker?
Right.
I'm sorry, man. Stamp an A in my book.
And we also got a fourth rounder in that trade too.
We get a fourth rounder
Yeah.
in return
Right.
for that trade.
Yeah.
So, when you really analyze the picks and you really analyze what we had versus what we didn't have until Joe D made those moves, before the end of the season, with the Jamal. And don't get me wrong, I love Jamal Adams. Coming out of the SEC, him and Marcus May. And I love the fact that Joe D was targeting a few more SEC players because those of us who follow college as well as the pros, the SEC is one of, if not the most dominant conference in college football. And I get it. People they want to use that with Wilson. Oh, he didn't play a great competition. Okay, well, Josh Allen didn't play a lot of great competition either.
There's so many examples. There's so many examples of this in NFL history. It's a joke when people talk about the competition. I've never, ever bought into that. If you're a great football player, you play great at any level, and just because you're performing at a lower level competition, college, does not mean you cannot translate to the NFL. It's been proven time and time again throughout NFL history. I think it's an absolutely ridiculous take to say that the competition should be a knock on them.
It truly is. But, my thing is if Wilson could put the ball where it needs to be, and I've seen Wilson, throw people open. People want to talk about, these people are waiting. They don't go through progressions or, they need to learn how to throw the receiver. Wilson already can throw his receivers open. A lot of the throws that I've seen him do at BYU, going back, reviewing the tape, he has thrown receivers open. He can put it in tight windows. He can put it there. That is not, I've never knocked on him for that. The reason why I always liked Fields over him is because I felt that Fields was tougher, had more determination, and the only time I ever use, the level of competition, which in my opinion, I think you should only use it, is when you're taking something like when Fields went up against Clemson, okay, in the playoffs.
Yeah, shredded
him.
them.
Take that hit, be out for 1, play and come back and throw 6 TDs, that's when you can use competition. Because we all know that a lot of these defensive linemen, okay, that come out of the SEC, man, these are NFL pro-ready defensive linemen. So to be able to go up against that, I get it. But all in all, as a quarterback, you can put the ball where it needs to be. Let's take that and let's move on. You know, so to go up as well with the draft pick, give Vera-Tucker, I think that was a great move on that part. I loved it.
All right, brother. All right, Isaac, I got to cut you off, man. Thank you so much for calling in. We got to run. We got to go to the rest of our show, dude. Thank you again for calling, man.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, brother. Go Jets, dude. Have a good night. That was Isaac Benjamin. Crushing it. Great phone call. Oh, Grant Root, I don't have a problem with you disagreeing. He says, got to disagree with you big here, John. He says, if competition doesn't matter, why did the most productive wide receiver in the draft go in the 5th round? Which 5th round wide receiver are we talking about right now? Competition didn't matter. Why did the most productive wide receiver in the draft? Oh, you're talking about Jalen Darden? I mean, well, so with him, it's not just the competition. It's also the transition to the next level. So a lot of people doubt him because of his size. You know, he is a smaller guy. So I think that's a lot of it. I think that he's limited in where he can play on the field. He can only play in that slot role. He's not going to ever be lined up on the outside ever. And so for that reason, I think he slips in the draft. And again, it's just been proven again, time and time again, these great players that come out, Jerry Rice, Mississippi State Valley University, or whatever the hell it was. We've seen it with Josh Allen. We've seen it with Big Ben Roethlisberger. These guys come from small schools and they make it work. They make it happen.
Right.
And again, if you're a great player, you're a great player. I have no idea who's going to be the better player. I don't know if it's going to be Fields. I don't know if it's going to be Wilson. And I'm just very, very eager to find out. And I'm very eager to see. I hope they both become the studs that I thought that they were prior to the draft. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that Fields pans out and Wilson pans out and maybe Lawrence doesn't pan out. Anything can happen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is such an exciting time. I just don't know what you get out of it by not getting behind Wilson at this point. You know, like coming out of the Gase era, I feel like anyone needs. We just need a level of hope right now. I just think waiting for the Jets to screw it up. I just think that contributes to the New York media and why the Jet fan base is, let's just say, very hard to please.
Yep. And Grant Root does make a good point here. He says that there's hundreds of guys with great production, big time traits that you can't name because they didn't pan out. And there's always going to be that case where somebody's small school comes to the NFL and just doesn't work out. It's going to work both ways, and it's always going to be that way. Great players from great schools can fail. Great small school kids coming in can have great success, but they can also not have great success. So we just have to wait and see. See, Wally agrees with you, Mike. I was tuning you out, but he didn't. Gitmo Bob says it all depends on the team that is put around you, and that's how I feel. I feel like if we build around Zach, if we had built around Justin Fields, both could have been very, very successful. I think that's the most important thing is if we keep stacking the chips on the offensive side, they will be successful. Matthias Simon, great comment. He says, we need to stick together as Jets fans. The media hates us enough already. Yeah, we do need to stick together. That's how I feel, and I agree with that. All right, we're going to go to our 2 more players. We won't spend too much time on them. We'll do draft grades, and then we'll probably wrap up this show. So we've got Brandon Echols from the University of Kentucky, a cornerback. You talked about Michael Carter maybe needing to add some weight. This guy definitely is in that category. He's 5'11", only 178 pounds. Terrific speed. His biggest knock is that he's just not very big. He's going to need to add some weight, I think. But he can be competition in the secondary, and he can compete at nickel job.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, and then
I agree. I like his speed. I like, again, another 4.3 guy, almost the same. I almost ran the same time as Michael Carter, I think.
The speed, yeah, they were both very fast. Yeah, Robert Saleh clearly has a prototype in the secondary. It's speed, and I think everybody in the NFL, that's the name of the game. You want guys who are fast, who can kill the offense, who can kill the defense. You want to have that on both sides. Vern with a very funny comment. He says, "All Fields talk ends today." Agreed. He is not a Jet. And I think that's a fair thing to say. Moving forward on this channel, we're not going to necessarily be recapping the NFL draft anymore. So I'm fine with that. I think it's fair to say that we should move forward until the season begins, until the Bears start playing games. We can kind of move on from Justin Fields on this channel specifically. So, yeah. So Grant Rude, we'll definitely be comparing them though for sure. All right, last pick of the draft, round 6, pick 207, defensive tackle Jonathan Marshall out of Arkansas. I actually like this pick better than the pick prior, and it's not because he plays defensive tackle. It's because he's super disruptive, actually. If you flip on some tape of Jonathan Marshall, he's got a really good first step, and he penetrates really nicely, and he fits that 3 technique position on the defensive line really well. I hope that he'll be a great backup for Quinnen Williams.
Is anyone worried about that injury?
No, because everything says that he's going to be fine and will be back before training camp. So I literally started to have a lump in my throat when I read it, because the way I read it is he's going to miss 8 to 10 weeks of the season.
Yeah, that's what.
And I was like, oh no, we just finished the draft. It was like positive energy, positive vibes. And I was like, damn, this is not what we needed. Thank God it's not going to impact his season though in any way. So Gitmo Bob says, until the next time the Jets play the Bears. Yes, Grant Rude says, I like the pick a lot more now that I know that Q had broke his foot. And I think that's important to know. And again, Sheldon Rankins, we've got him in the rotation. We've still got Foley Fatukasi. Sorry, my brain wasn't working. And we also have the defensive tackle Nathan Shepard as well. So we do have we have depth. I think it's good to have another young guy in there for sure. Yeah, Wally says the move looked a lot better after the Quinnen injury. I think so, Grant Rude. He was already in pretty good shape. That's the one thing I will credit Quinnen Williams for. After his rookie year, he has just been in tremendous shape, and I think that him being off of his feet for a while will be an impact, but I think him getting healthy prior... yeah. I think him getting healthy prior to training camp is going to help him to lose the weight that he potentially gains. Guys, if you don't mind, if you're in the chat right now and you haven't hit the like button, please consider doing that. And again, if you're watching this after we stream, please consider subscribing. If you're new to the channel, we hope you guys consider sticking around. Wally says, I do love that Quinnen was at the voluntary workouts. I hate that it happened, obviously, but he was there as one of the best players on the team, which is a leader. Mark Orlando, he says, don't sleep on Jonathan Marshall. He has the second highest RAS of any defensive tackle in the last 15 years. Wow. I'm going to need you to break down what RAS is. I don't know what that is. And Sean Bennett agrees with me. Good first step. That's what I saw when I watched the tape. I saw him getting very quickly.
Relative athletic score.
Relative athletic score. There you go. Wouldn't it be nice if we could hit on some of these late round picks, man? Matthias says, Jets fans need to shed the doom and gloom. This is a new era. We are headed in the right direction. Very good, Mark Orlando. Thank you very much. Relative athletic score. All right, cool. That is the entire draft. And now we're going to wrap this up. The moral of the story, don't go to voluntary workouts. We're going to wrap this up with grades. And we can do pick by pick, and then we can just kind of give an overall grade if you want. We can do this pretty quickly, though. Zach Wilson, what are you giving that for a grade at pick number 2?
I'm trying to keep in mind we have.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to say these grades are super weak because we don't know what's going to happen. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna give a rating as I feel it. I mean, I want chat to know. I've heard all the comments. We have a big Fields community out there. I think it's just easier for me to give a rating based on how I see it and from my feelings. So I'm just gonna say I'm gonna give it A for that. I'm gonna give it A.
Yeah.
It was easy. I could have saw the Jets. Here's why I give it. I'll just say this real quick. I could see, the old Jets and some of the GMs we had. I could have saw Matt Jones going there. I could have saw Trey Lance going at 2, depending on who we had at GM. Not to say those quarterbacks will be bad, but they didn't make the most sense at the number 2 pick, and the Jets sometimes have a problem choosing what makes sense at the number 2 pick, and that's why I go with an A.
Yes, very well said. I think that if they had not surrounded him with all of the weapons that they did and all of the protection that they did after him, this could have been a B pick, actually. Like, if they had just drafted him and then, moved on to the defense right away,
Yeah.
I think that could have really impacted the grade here. I give it an A.
Also the overall, too. I think I would do the flip of that. If they would have just drafted Zach, and, well, I guess that's what you're saying. But I guess what I'm saying is, not only would it impact the rating of this of drafting him in this position, but it would also definitely impact the overall grade at that point as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm A- right now, and again, it could change dramatically as we go forward here. Matthias gives it an A or an A- too. So there you go. Zach Wilson's an A and an A-. Elijah Vera-Tucker, trade up from 23 to 14. What are you giving that move and that draft pick?
I give drafting. I don't know if I misinterpret the 2. Let me know, but I would say what we gave up, a B, the draft pick, an A-.
A-?
Yeah.
Okay, Grant Rude gives Wilson a B. Thank you for giving me your grades, guys. I will put those up, by the way. Oh, Grant Rude, you only give AVT a B. I'm surprised. I give this move, and it may shock you all, I'm giving it an A+. I'm giving this draft pick an A+ because, again, it shows they are not effing around with their quarterback this time. They are investing heavily in protecting him and supporting him so that he can be as successful as he can. Again, try to remember, it's not just the player that we're picking. It's not just the potential we're picking. We're analyzing each of these picks as they currently stand on the team. I'm giving it an A+ because I feel like it does everything that we needed it. Like, we accomplished what we needed to do in that pick. So, A+ for me. Tommy R says it was the best guard in the draft. Easy A. Losing the 2/3 does hurt. We did get the 4th back. We already have a ton of picks this year. And again, just keep in mind we have so many picks next year as well. It's very possible that they have been keeping that in their mind when they made this move. They may have been thinking, sure, we could stick and pick at each of these spots. But if we do, we might not be able to keep all of these guys on the roster because we have so many picks in the future. So just something to keep in mind. KSE says B-. Jenkins not too far behind AVT. Damn, that's critical. But you're not the only one. Some people really felt the same way. I'm just shocked. I feel like they knocked it out of the park with this pick. Sean Bennett says A. Matthias says A. Rick B, A+, like me. Vern, A+. Mark Orlando says they missed out on Tooney twice, but they could have picked Darisaw. But they got their guy, A+. I don't see how you can hate this move. I just think it's too good. All right, we're moving on. Elijah Moore, pick 34 overall. What you got, Mikey? What's your grade?
I love this pick, so I'm going A- on that.
Any reasons specific? I mean, we talked about them already. You don't have to go too depthy here.
Yeah, I just think I think he's going to evolve into one of Zach's go-to guys. Actually, I think as I say it, I'm going with an A. I'm going with a solid A there, not an A-. I just think that the long term. I mean, Grant's saying he's going to be looking at this. He's going to be analyzing Zach's progress or lack thereof. If hopefully, God forbid, that happens. But for the next 3 years, I'll be doing the same with Elijah. And I bet you the two of them will grow together and become hopefully one of the most elite duos in the AFC. And for that reason, I can't see why you wouldn't give it an A, especially at that pick.
Yeah, you said it beautifully. I'm not going to repeat what you said. You said a ton of really good things there. I'm actually giving this an A+ again. Those are my 2 A+ in the draft. I'm not giving any more, I promise. Alijah Vera-Tucker and Elijah Moore, I thought back to back. You could not have had a better scenario, I think, come out of that. A ton of people love this Moore pick. Let's see. Grant Rude says A+ for Moore. Sean Bennett, A. Marco Orlando, A+. Tommy R, definitely an A. Rick B, an A. Vern, A+ again, like me. Let's go to Michael Carter, running back out of UNC. I'll go first this time, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm going to give this a B+, not an A. It doesn't mean I don't like the pick. I love the pick still a lot. I think they did the right thing taking a running back. The thing with him is he's never going to be a 20 to 25 touch guy. So I don't think, for that reason, I don't think I can give this an A. He is more likely to be a part of a committee, not necessarily a lead dog. And that's not a bad thing. I don't want it to get twisted here. It's still a really good draft pick. But because he's never going to be a lead back, in my opinion, I'm going to give this a B+. What do you got?
A-. I think we needed a running back. To me, I still go back to the formula, which to me the Jets proved was exactly what they were doing, which is Zach Wilson is the equivalent of Adam and Eve. He's Adam. He was put on this earth, and Joe D was the creator, and Joe D said, what does Zach need, right? He needs protection. He got protection. And what else did he need? He needed tools, and he got Elijah Moore. And he also needed rest, and that's where Michael Carter over the next 3 years will come in. And whether he's a lead back or whether he's a rotation, the whole goal. And Jason Rhodes, if you're in the chat, I need you. I need to hear you.
He's not here tonight. No,
he's not here. I'm by myself. But he's gonna be there to take the looks off of Zach and to open up that play calling. And if he fits the scheme, that's the other thing. And I don't see how that doesn't fit the overall strategy of what this year's draft was, which was how do we get Zach, protect Zach, and get the pressure off Zach when it comes to, the downs and, not making, I'm thinking of Adam Gase. Everyone knew we were throwing every time. Frank Gore wasn't getting anything. Le'Veon Bell wasn't getting anything. So now they actually got to pay attention to what we do. And I think that'll help Zach's development and also keep him safe and sound.
And just keep in mind, Michael Carter running behind Mekhi Becton and Alijah Vera-Tucker.
Oh, that's sexy. Yeah.
Running behind that left side is going to be pretty good. Michael Carter, B+ from Sean Bennett. Let's see. Matthias Simon, B+ for Michael Carter. Grant Rude also goes B+. Tommy R says this was good value in the 4th round, definitely an A-. You could definitely make the case that this is an A-. Just because I say B+, we're really we're not really far apart in our opinion here. Mark Orlando says nobody's going to be a 20 to 25 touch guy in this offense, and I do agree with you, Mark Orlando. Again, it's kind of nice to have a lead dog in a running game, in my opinion, but I do like the idea of splitting carries, so I'm with you. I'm not opposed to that at all. Let's see. Yep, Shanahan's Falcons ran with 2 backs. Getting one of those quality guys in the 4th round is freaking fantastic. Agreed. A-, scheme fit, super dynamic, plus the 3 listed better than him went in the 1st and 2nd round, not the 4th. And that's why I didn't want a running back with pick 23 or 34. Value, baby. It's always there at the running back position. Vern says A- for Carter as well. And I think that's all the grades we got. Sean Bennett says he's going to be a good complement to Ty Johnson. I think the two of them can make some make some serious plays happen for our offense. All right. Grade for Jamian Sherwood. I am going to give that a B+. You got anything for me?
B+.
Yep. Solid depth.
Sure.
Good versatility. Agreed.
It's a good spot for defense, for investment in the defense too. I thought it was a good pick before you really started to slip off the edge in terms of talent and return on investment and things like that. So I thought it was a solid pick for that.
And again, Saleh said himself, you don't know how good you're going to be. So he must believe in this kid quite highly. So maybe we as fans need to realize this guy could be a big part of what we do this season. Grant Rude says A+ after hearing what Saleh said. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And Rick B says B-. So we're kind of all over the place with this one. But yeah, it just depends. It depends on what happens here. I think he could make a lot of big plays, though. Michael Carter II, the Duke cornerback. I'm kind of worried about the corners that we took aside from Jason Pinnock. I like Brandon Echols okay. I like Michael Carter this okay. I think these might be maybe our riskier picks, the ones that might not pan out, in my opinion. Michael Carter II. Again, I'm not hating on him. I give it a B. I think that this might not pan out.
Yeah, I'm going to go high. I'm going to say B-.
Yeah, that's about how I feel. And again, that's not a hate fest on Michael Carter II. Maybe he comes in and he's great. We know he's got the speed. We know he's going to be able to slide in at that slot position. He did have a good 2020 season. I'm just not sure. There's a lot of competition. Maybe he doesn't rise to the top like we need him to. KSC is with us. He says, not real sure on this. We're getting a lot of love for Sherwood in the chat. A lot of people really like that pick a lot. Let's go to cornerback Jason Pinnock, out of Pitt. This is one of my favorite picks. I love the Jason Pinnock pick. I really like the Hamza pick. I'm not going to go crazy and give that one an A+, though. So what do you got for Jason Pinnock, cornerback out of Pitt?
Because I'm sure I struggle with my ratings. I did them based on the pick, the value, and the talent there at the pick, plus the return on investment based on the player. So for me, based on that kind of criteria, I have him at a B+ for me.
Okay, yeah, I say B+, something like that for Pinnock. Good value pick. He could turn into being a good player for us. So somebody said A+ for Carter II. Vern. So Vern,
I didn't hear that.
I was going to say, Vern, I'm challenging you. I want you to leave me a voicemail at some point for our next show. I would love for you to talk a little bit about why you believe in him so much. Would really like to have that and have your voice on the channel. So leave me a voicemail. The phone number is on the screen.
It better not be because you're a Duke basketball fan. Let's just say that. There would be more substantial. I better see more meat on the bone than that.
Excuse me. Sorry. Matthias says B for Pinnock. Sean Bennett says B+ for Michael Carter II. Vern says B.
Really? B+ is. I want to know with the confidence. I mean, I love it. I want to feed off of it. I might. Hey, if I see him in there, I'll buy a Carter jersey. How about that? So I want to see. I want to know where the confidence is coming from. I would love to know that.
I've given out
something I don't.
Yeah, I've given out 3 A's so far. We're coming up on my 4th one coming up here. Hamza Nasirildeen, I'm giving this an A-. I really like this kid. I think, first of all, he's got an awesome name. Nasirildeen. That's just a sweet name to say.
That's a sweet name.
Again, length. His arms are ridiculously long. He's tall. He's got good athleticism. He made plays. He's a tackling machine. I give this a really good shot of sticking. I think this kid could really do a really good job on special teams year 1, and I'm hoping maybe in the future he can become have a role on the defense. What do you got for Hamza?
A-. He was. Some people had him in the 3rd round.
Yep. I love this pick. I love this pick.
I'm not too phased by the knee injuries, especially at the pick. I mean, you know, what you get in return for taking a risk could be insane. And a third round talent where he landed at the 186th pick, that's amazing.
KSC, I want to nickname him Nas because he's got NAS at the beginning of his name. Just nickname him Nas. That's a throwback if you don't know who Nas is.
I don't know who Nas is.
Some people don't, though.
You know, there's multiple Nas. Now you got Little Nas.
I heard about that, but I like the old Nas. Oh, I think we just got a like because we said Nas, by the way. I'm pretty sure it just happened. So if you're a Nas fan, NYJ Today is also Nas fans. That was one of my favorite albums as a kid. I loved that rap album. All right.
We're so woke.
JE, what's up, dude? We got to find a nickname for him. We already talked about that. My bad. Pinnock reminds me of Richard Sherman, actually. Yeah, the confidence is there. That's what I mentioned earlier. Pinnock does seem to have a really high level of confidence, and you cannot undersell the importance of that at that position. I think it's extremely important that you play with confidence at the cornerback spot. Yeah, I knew you'd like Nas, buddy. Initial mocks had Hamza going consistently in the second round, according to Mark Orlando. I love the pick. I want to create him in Madden. I just want to I want to user him on defense. Put him at the weak side linebacker spot and let's roll, baby. Vern says, put the pressure on me to call in. Possibly. No, Vern. I'm putting
more. You're going to give him an A+.
It's a voicemail. You could literally write down what you want to say, dude. It's not like a live call-in. Just call in and leave me a voicemail. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, let's see. I'll actually give the secondary picks from JD an A- overall. Good group of kids. And I think that's fair, Sean Bennett. Just looking at all of the players he added, not necessarily grading one by one. Not grading it one by one. I think it's fair to say that overall he added a lot of depth, and I definitely agree. Grant Rude, yes, agreed. Would love for people to DM me and get at me on Twitter. I'm happy to set something up. Kyle said Penny is considering doing. By the way, my nickname is Penny, I guess now. But anyway, that's from the Gangrene. He said Penny is considering doing another giveaway. He has a Brownie Nagel. No, I do not. You're making shit up, Kyle. I do not have any of that.
Damn you, Kyle.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, I'm working on a t-shirt, definitely. Yeah, Sean Bennett agreed. The special teams definitely get a boost from all of those kids that we drafted. All right, Jonathan Marshall. I'm giving this a A-. Great pick. Good depth. We know Quinnen Williams suffered an injury. He may end up being needed in the rotation earlier in the year.
B+ for me.
Okay. And KSE is going to wrap up our show with a hot topic. He says, I'd trade Crowder in season when contender eventually loses a wide receiver to an injury. I don't see that happening at all. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean that I think that the Jets clearly are focusing on Wilson this year. I don't think they want to take away the horses that they have on offense. I think they want to keep all the horses in the barn, ready to roll, ready to run. Crowder, okay. So Grant Root actually agrees with you. He says, I think Crowder's gone before the start of the season. I actually think he's going to stick. So if I'm wrong on that, I'm wrong on that. I actually think they want him on the team to help, to be that veteran leader. He is the oldest for sure on that unit. And think about the mentoring he could provide to Elijah Moore. Go ahead, Mike.
What happens if he develops a chemistry with Crowder?
Right. And again, eases the load, helps him transition from BYU to the NFL.
Yeah.
It's a big jump from college to the pros, and I think having a guy like Crowder on offense is invaluable. I just don't like it. I don't like the idea of getting rid of him. I think he offers too much to the team. Even if he is the third or fourth wide receiver, I think it's just too Too risky. Just too risky for me. Fern says, I got you on the voicemail, not the call-in type. I appreciate that, dude. I would love to get a voicemail. I want voicemails every week. We haven't gotten them every week. We got a lot this week. It's fun. It's fun to hear from the people that spend time watching our ugly faces every week. So we appreciate it. Tommy R agrees with me. Keep Crowder. C. Wally says, I hope we keep him as long as possible. KSC comes in with a good point. He says, we got nothing for Robbie Anderson, and he walked. We need to get something for Crowder. Crowder is not going to be re-signed. And I do agree with that last part. He's not going to be re-signed. We have a lot of picks already next year, guys. Do we really need another draft pick? 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, multiple mid-round picks, multiple late-round picks. I don't know if a pick really makes a big difference. I'm not saying that draft picks aren't good and you shouldn't have as many as you can get, but do we really need more in 2022? I don't know. What do you think about that, Mike?
I mean, you always got to be prepared. You got to be prepared to keep building. You don't know. I don't want to start putting bad juju on what could happen, what can't happen, but I just think a good GM should always be vigilant in looking for how to expand your resources for the least amount of impact to the team. Like I agree with keeping Crowder. So I'm not like, hey, if a deal's there, you got to take it no matter what. If there's a chemistry there and Zach's developing, that's more important than adding perhaps a pick or two, or whatever the deal is at that point. But you can't just be like, oh, I'll just wait for the off season and then we'll reevaluate based on that. If you got the opportunity and it doesn't put a lot of impact to the team or to the overall strategy, which is to get Zach into that mode of really owning the team and feeling comfortable, then I'm okay with it. So it's kind of a case by case answer I just gave you, but that's kind of the best I got.
Yep. And I think John I think I know what he's saying actually in the chat. He said trade up for a blue chip player. I think what he means is if we get another pick for Crowder, we could do what we did with AVT. We could use the pick to move up. I just think I'm sorry.
So many picks, like you said. We got so many picks. I mean, I'm not saying that one more pick isn't bad. I'm just saying, is it depending on how the season progresses and when that call needs to be made, what's more important to us at that point in time? Is it the pick and who's at the pick and the talent, or is it keeping the cohesion and the overall plan in play, which is Crowder's there as a vet to mentor and to also develop the quarterback at that point, and to mentor these young receivers, even Mims. I mean, not to the same capacity, but he's mentoring. These vets are mentoring more than just the draft picks that we have now. They also are mentoring the players that we saw sparks of hope over the last season. So, to rotate people in and out isn't always a good thing. I think you need some stability there, or else you're going to put a lot of pressure on your coaching staff. And that coaching staff, especially the assistant coaches, I don't really know what the talent is there. I don't know what that looks like. So it's hard for me to really say that. But we don't know how big of a part the vets are going to have on the development of the team and the maturity of the team versus the assistant coaches. And if you take those vets away, I don't know what that does at that point.
I love what you say there. There's a ton of good comments here, actually. I'm kind of glad that KSC brought this up. So, Sean Bennett, I think he kind of reiterates what we've talked about. It's not just the veteran leadership, but what about, what if an injury happens?
Yeah.
Why do we want to have the same situation happen what we had with Darnold, where we didn't have enough depth at wide receiver,
right,
and it really effed him up at the beginning of the season? Tommy R agrees with your points there. Mikey gives you some thumbs up. We can't afford to have, 1 or 2 guys go down and then the whole offense just tanks because of it. And when you have legit depth from the first starting wide receiver all the way down to the all the way down to the 5th wide receiver position, that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. And I just think that it's too risky to send a veteran like Crowder, even though we'd be getting things that people are talking about, more draft capital, potentially trading for a cornerback. I know that some people mentioned that. I believe it was Grant Rude said, let's trade Crowder and maybe a pick for a starting cornerback. I don't hate the idea. I just want to make sure Zach Wilson is successful. And I'd be saying the exact same thing if Justin Fields was drafted. I would want to send Crowder anywhere because I want to make sure our quarterback is successful. So that's where I am with that. All right. Any last second comments? Anything before we wrap up the show here?
Chat on fire like usual.
Yep.
I think, man, I get, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I really like seriously was reflecting on where my optimism, excitement, and hope is now versus where it was 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Like, unbelievable how quick things can change, especially for us Jet fans. This kind of gives me the feeling of even more of an optimism than when we brought in Rex and, of course, the Tannenbaum and all those crazy things. But I just keep going back. I think it was that NFL Network, which was, this is just the first step. This is just the beginning, to quote the movie The Mummy. So, I'm pretty stoked. I'm pretty stoked where I'm at right now.
Vern, we did talk about it earlier. I think Yeboah is my favorite. We also got the kid, I think it was Oregon State, Hamilcar, I believe that's his name. Dude is a good player. I think he had like 13 sacks in one season, and he went undrafted. So I think the Jets definitely made out well, getting him there. Let's see. It's a good thing we brought in ABT, but getting a backup. Okay, they're talking about the injuries that could happen. Thank you, Tommy. Ari says, great show. Looking forward to who makes the team. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about next week. I think we're going to start kind of transitioning now to the summer, which is going to be battles, position battles. And if you guys are on Twitter, I would really like to know more about what you would like us to talk about in these streams. Message me, at me on Twitter. What do you guys want to talk about on the next show? I'm thinking we're going to do position battles. I think that's going to be one of my favorite things to talk about. Who do we see in the starting lineup? I feel like that's a good way to, progress as we go through the off season. Can't thank you guys enough for the support, for watching us, for liking these streams, for attending and commenting. Just appreciate it so much. I think that's going to be it for us. Go Jets. See you guys next time. Word from my daughter. Peace, guys.
Peace, guys.
Go Jets.
Jay!